Awesome. So, hi, y'all. My name is Zaira. I'm the first year experience program coordinator here, and I'm excited to be here introducing y'all to the college and budgeting workshop here with Stacy Hart. They are part of SparkPoint. And with that, I'm gonna hand it off to Stacy.
Hi, let's make sure that everybody can hear me for this very riveting workshop. No, can everybody hear me? I'm going to go with yes unless I hear
Yes.
otherwise. Jerry, can you hear me? Okay, I'm
Yes, I
sorry.
can.
I've been working from home and I'm relegated to the garage. It's very fun. Um, so I'm just here to give you a quick not very quick, but a brief synopsis on, budgeting and ideas on how you can do that during college, because we all know college can be very expensive. And one of the biggest things I've learned in my tenure with working with budgeting and big expensive things like college is always making sure we have a plan. So we're going to kind of go over some steps that might be helpful for you. And I am Stacy Hart, and I am the Financial Education Coordinator for SparkPoint in Bay Point and DVC. I'm not on campus yet, but hope to be at one point. And so the key, as we say, is to figure out where you are today and what you want to accomplish. And that means making sure that we have a plan for our money. And today we'll talk about what some financial goals are and how to work with financial goals, and then how to build a budget, and then a little bit about finding ways to save money. And in financial goals change throughout our life. So when we're talking about financial goals, you really need to be looking at where you are now and what you want to achieve in the next few years. So say, for instance, I'm just going to do a very rudimentary one. It's the easiest one. You want to save $1,000. That's the goal. And then we start talking about how long that's going to take. And then you start making a plan around that. And you have different goals. You can set short-term goals. Your short-term goals might be to finish junior college or finish college completely, depending on where you are. It might be finishing college, getting a job, and buying a home. And all of these are long-term, and you kind of put, you start working with those goals. And you need to be realistic with your goals. And so we talk a little bit about SMART goals. Has anybody ever heard of SMART goals? Okay, I'm gonna go with no. SMART is an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And so all of your goals should have some sort of SMART goal attached to them to allow you to meet those goals. Knowing, of course, that any time-bound goal sometimes changes because life throws us wrenches. But if you don't have a time, this is really key. Actually, really love that my partner said this. She said, if you don't have a time-bound, if you're not time-bound to a goal, then it's just an idea. And so it's really important to put that kind of time frame around that. So you want to buy a house in 2 years. While that may be your goal, maybe something throws a wrench into it and you can't, like the pandemic hits and you lose your job. That doesn't mean that you give up on your goal. You just change the goal to meet the current circumstances. Okay. Did I miss a page? Nope. Okay. And part of working financial goals is making sure you have a budget. The budget is another plan that allows you to determine how you spend your money, and so that you can reach your financial goals. Why is it important? It gives you the power to determine whether or not you have the money for everything you need and want. Somebody once explained it to me as being in control of your money, you happening to your money rather than your money happening to you. How many of us sometimes get to the end of the month and go, well, I should have had $200 left over, but I have no idea where that went. That's happened to me a few times recently. And so it's really important to make sure that we're designating a plan and putting every dollar to a specific use. And that's what happens is we don't realize that we're outspending what we earn, right? So we spend more than we earn, and then all of a sudden we slowly get into debt. So that's why we try to put a plan with every single dollar. So you're probably wondering, how do I not run out of money? Which is part of the budget, right? So how do you do this? The budget helps you make sure you don't run out of money each month. You can save money, put money away for goals and emergencies. And then also budget tells you where you might need to cut some costs or where you might need to change some of your monthly habits. So that's what a budget does. It puts everything on paper and it tells you where you can spend. It also tells you where you can spend your money. Sometimes, several times I look with clients, and one of the big things is eating out. We finally put together what they're spending on eating out, and they don't realize. And it adds up to hundreds and hundreds of dollars more than they can really afford. And so then it helps you understand, oh, well, that's why my credit card's so high, or that's why I'm not having enough money at the end of the month. I need to budget how much I'm willing to spend on eating out. So the whole idea is to be in control of your money and identifying your financial goals, tracking your expenses, both fixed and flexible. And there are a lot of ways to do that. You can create your own template on Excel. There's some online apps. Mint has been a big one that clients have been using. With that, you start to learn where you can cut down expenses. I had one client who was paying $200 for their Comcast bill, and we talked about how they actually don't need to be paying that. You can negotiate different prices. So that's part of working that down. Since you're in college, using the school to find different discounts for you as students. Organizing your bills, making sure they get paid on time, and then working within your budget. And the key thing is updating your budget every month. You don't just create one and then say, woohoo. You actually have to come together and do it every month because your needs change every month. Sticking to your budget is probably the hardest part. And making sure that you keep that in forefront of your mind and sticking to what you said you were going to do. Kind of keeping yourself accountable to your choices. I often, when I talk to clients and even in my own finances, if I'm choosing to make a purchase, I always ask, where does that align with my financial goals if it's outside of the budget? And so it's a constant conversation. Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm not sure if there's anything in the chat.
No question in the chat.
I know I'm going fast. If I'm going too fast, I can slow down. Okay. Elements of a budget. Once you've identified your goals, I think I've talked about goals for a while now. So to the budget, you need to know your income. You need to know what your monthly expenses are. The fixed ones are easy, right? We all know what our rent is. We all know what our car bill is going to be. We all know those basic ones. Then you have the variable ones, which are from eating out, how much a phone bill costs per month, and all those pieces. The other elements are making sure that you budget in events, making sure that you always put in there upcoming events. For instance, in November, when I go and do my family food budget, it's going to be a little higher because we are hosting Thanksgiving, right? So it's a matter of always being kind of planning ahead, which can be difficult if you're not a planner, but it becomes easier the longer and more frequently you do it, the more in control you are and the better it feels overall, to be honest. And then you need to talk about how much you're paying for college, educational investment, and those components are budget. Savings. We have savings as 6, but it really should be probably the first one under your monthly income because it's really important to pay yourself first when you can. This is a rudimentary budget sheet. You start out putting in all of your income and what the total is, and then putting in what you think your expected expenses are for each month. What's important here is there are a few things that we always do with clients and we often suggest is spending a month doing a spending tracker so that you really can get a good idea of what your groceries are, what you're eating out, how much your car gas is costing you, especially these days. It also helps you keep track of how much you're spending on any loans that you have. And that is, it's just important. It's just as easy as getting a sheet of paper and writing down every expense everything you spend money on every day. Then that helps you identify what your expenses are each month. Once you have those together, that's what happens after creating a budget. And then you look into options and ways to save or even make more money. And there's always room for improvement. Every month you can look and see different ways to improve. Although we must be honest, sometimes during college or certain people sacrifice a little bit. That's where we have to understand our goals are actually helping us get to, or the budget, and maybe not always being in a happy balance will get us to our goals. So key things, and making sure that you are in charge of your money will actually keep you and help you save money. If you avoid late fees, so you know when to pay your bills and to pay them on time, believe it or not, you can actually negotiate paydays or pay pay date due dates with lenders. So it doesn't hurt to call and say, hey, I need to move back, say you get paid twice a month, you need to move it back to the 16th so that you make sure that there's money in your account when you pay it. Brown bagging your lunch, that is a huge way to change, to reduce costs. It's not as fun, but it does help reduce the cost of takeout foods. If you do take out food, avoid fountain drinks. They actually will eat up. I was looking at a receipt from a meal that I took out a kid, and the most expensive part was actually our drinks. So actually learning to find different ways to save money. Checking into bank fees, making sure that your bank is not taking you to the cleaners on bank fees. Looking at buying secondhand stores. So a lot of these are just really, they seem obvious, but if you need a car, looking into different assistance programs. If you, believe it or not, internet and cable, there's numbers that you can call to get a reduced rate. Looking at free food from food banks and pantries. And then buying in bulk. Sometimes I had some friends who during college shared a Costco membership and actually saved quite a bit of money buying things in bulk together. So it's being very specific. Carpooling, looking into discount programs, all of these things, enrolling into public benefits. And of course, your school will have a lot of different options as well, because student discounts are pretty cool. And everybody's budget is going to be different, right? So don't look at your budget and compare to somebody else's. You want to make sure that your dollar, every dollar has a purpose. So when you go down your budget and you say you have $1,000 a month and you only have $700 in expenses, come up with what to do with those $300. Yeah. A budget really does help. I have clients who are like, I don't know where that $300 goes. And so we talk about it and we find it, and we find that you'll find where you're spending money that you actually didn't know. And so if you have a purpose for every dollar, you're less likely to spend it on a $300 Starbucks a month budget. I'm afraid to look at mine, not gonna lie. Does anybody have any questions? So far, wait, am I at questions? Yes. And there's no wrong answer when you're looking at budgeting.
So Stacy, question.
Or even wrong question. Go ahead, Jared. Yeah.
As a college student, I know when I was in college, I had no idea how to make a budget. The reason was because most or all the money that I received monthly was from financial aid. On that situation, how would a college student work on a budget if no income is being earned from work, but just financial aid, for example, or any type of scholarship that comes every 3 months?
Okay, so yeah, you can't really do a monthly budget then. You actually have to look at probably a budget and determine how much you can spend with that money. Sometimes what I've done with certain clients is we've talked about, we've always started with figuring out what the expenses are and what they're going to be on a monthly basis. And so then taking that money from financial aid and dividing it up in those into the 3 months that it needs to last is probably going to be your best bet. Finding places to put the money so that it's not easily spendable is going to be another good option as well. So instead of doing monthly, well, it's still good to do it monthly to make sure that you're keeping in check your expenses, but having a very limited income or fixed income, you're going to have to stick real tight to your schedule, to your budget. So part of the ways that we could also get, if you have struggles with budgeting, and it always takes a few tries before a budget gets really down to it, SparkPoint does have financial coaches that you can work with. We also have a lot of other services to help you get to figure out, even if you don't know what your financial goals are. We talk a lot about that from the get-go. And we come up with creative ways to extend your money. It always goes much faster when there are not a lot of people in the room. Whoa, sorry. So SparkPoint is a great service if you want to help getting through college with some assistance and accountability partner. Financial coach, we wear a lot of hats, but the key one that I always say is kind of an accountability coach, and we talk about plans and making timeline to make sure that you are sticking to your plan and working through that.
So, okay,
Jerry, do you want to add anything? I think that is the end of my presentation.
Yes, thank you so much, Stacy. So I'll explain a little bit what SparkPoint is and move on from there. SparkPoint Contra Costa at Diablo Valley College is a financial hub. We have 3 main sources of services, which is financial, credit, and career services. We also work with the county in providing individuals with the proper resources that they need. We have legal aid services. We help individuals file their taxes and or renew the ITIN number. And all our services we have to offer are free. At the moment, DVC students are receiving virtual services by getting in contact with me at the email you see within the PowerPoint, g.mendoza172@dvc.edu. Also, for those individuals interested in receiving more information on SparkPoint or becoming a client and receiving services, within the chat, I added a link, a tinyurl.com/SparkPoint sign-in. Feel free to sign that, register into that link. Once you open that link, it'll take you to a mini survey. Once that survey is completed and we get the results, I'll be able to get in contact with you within 24 hours or 48 hours, depending on the schedule that I have within the next few days. But that's it. Like I said, SparkPoint is a financial. We're just here to help individuals become financially stable by providing financial, credit, and career services. If there's any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself, ask them, and put them in the chat as well. And for those individuals that are at DVC campus anytime within the week, SparkPoint's office at the moment is located on the EOPS office suite.